So I chose Clovis Pierre because I feel like he was such a significant person in his period who, even at the time, was somewhat overlooked, and in the many decades and centuries since has been totally overlooked, but played such a major role in the Paris morgue and in managing and overseeing the deaths of tens of thousands of ordinary Parisians over a period of a few decades. And I wanted him to kind of have a moment in the spotlight and kind of share his story and the work he did with a wider audience. So in terms of trying to fit an entire life into just one 3,000-word essay, in one sense I'm fortunate that there isn't a huge amount of content that remains about Clovis Pierre. So I wasn't in the position of perhaps if you are writing about a much more well-known figure and you're trying to distill a huge amount of information. But I think I knew I wanted to tell the story vaguely chronologically. So that was kind of an obvious one, was to sort of find the steps of his life and also see what the main steps were. And for me, the most significant part was when he joined the morgue and his work there, and then kind of the afterlife of that, what happened to him and also what happened to his memory, whether or not he was remembered. So I think focusing on sort of specific story beats effectively and not dwelling too much on what was the neighbourhood like where he grew up, but instead saying, okay, this was the neighbourhood, and then moving on. So I think you have to perhaps be more decisive and think really clearly about what details really illuminate a person's character. Like this idea of the pea blossom seeds, I was like, that really illuminates exactly who this person is in one sentence. So finding really illuminating details and focusing on those and making those the core of the essay, as opposed to trying to tell the entire arc of someone's life in the same level of detail for every part. Winning the Brief Lives Award is really meaningful to me because I think it's such a validation that people are really interested in the stories of ordinary people, and that the biographies of ordinary people can become in their own way something extraordinary, that we don't have to limit ourselves to only writing about people who were well known both in their time and beyond, who perhaps were in sort of high positions in their lifetime. And instead that even with relatively limited details, you can really build a picture of somebody and you can really recreate them and their life and the sense of them. And that there is interest and appetite in stories about these people, and you can bring them out from the archive where they've been kind of languishing for so long. And yeah, it's so meaningful to have won this award and to feel that these stories have a place within the kind of canon of biography as a genre, and that we don't have to limit ourselves to only talking about, traditionally well-known subjects. So my plans for the future are very much focused on my forthcoming book, which will be coming out next year in the UK with Simon & Schuster, and it is the story of the Paris morgue through 12 people who ended up there, and it weaves in kind of a century of history throughout the 19th century through these 12 people from often very different backgrounds and had very different endings, but all ended up in the Paris morgue. And I've kind of traced their lives. It's mostly about their lives. Their death is where I meet them, but the book is about understanding different people in their lives and people who've been really overlooked by history, and some of them weren't even identified in their time. And then Clovis Pierre also gets his own part of the book as the morgue keeper who pulls everyone together.